Dear friends, good afternoon. I'm just making another video on the world ownership issues, and the recent bloodlines that are the pathetic Windsor monarchy, and all of its siring by all of the Rothschilds and all of the scams that the Rothschilds engage in. Okay, the pictures on the front page of my living room TV today are of the scams that the world owners use since the Doomsday Book was written in England, and the King Harold, with the Rothschild arrow on the beach at Hastings in Harold's eye, is the joke about the 100-acre woods and the division of the world into those patches of known size, and the whole carve-up is shared only between the elite families that run the whole of Europe first, then they take over the whole of the pan-continental places, and Antarctica is the last to go, and they're already fighting over that. Okay, and all the oil wealth from the subterranean regions is totally owned by the same people, and we touched on that in the last video. Okay, so the 100 acres is in the Winnie the Pooh joke. That's the Pie Piglet for the Pisos. That is the Pie Piccadilly place of residences for the Rothschilds all over fascist London. And there's the Otter Buren. All of the critters. There's the rabbits that are Hitler's friends. There's Winnie the Pooh, that is in the story he is the Stammering King, I think. And all of them get characterized, and there's the 100-acre wood, which is the name of a shrubbery or a gardening company in Melrose, where the Freemasons all operate to these rules. Okay, let me take it back, and there's Eeyore in the Bible, with the pincoat tail thing, that is the monkeys on your shoulder, or the donkey that is Jesus, and all of it is in the Pinocchio film. And all of these are characters in Operation Winnie the Pooh and Operation Christopher Robin, involving the Flemings and all the double agents and Desmond Morton and things that we talked about yesterday. And Tigger, I think, is the name of Winston Churchill in the joke. And Roo, I forget what Roo is in the stories, and the rabbit is Hitler's friends, and it's the rabbis, and it takes you back to Lagos the rabbit in Macedonia, which is just a joke about St. John and St. Iago, and all of the jokes about the bloodlines since Lagos of Macedonia and Alexander the Great. The Rothschilds are christened Alessandro for a laugh. They're christened Bathsheba, and all of it, the christening by the man with the hair coat takes all of the fine art from all of the output of the faked artists that they plant into the world. That's why all of the new songs are replacing all of the songs that I've reported through all of the recent history of the corrupted monarchy since Greg Hallett started to tell the story, and Greg Hallett was disappeared in 2012. Okay, let's go back and see what else we've got here. And this is that story about King Herod. The Herod, as you'll see in the OneNote profile, is actually the hundreds etymology. So that's the 100-acre wood, and the sectioning of all of the land all over Europe in the early days, and the Christian nations, and Jesus Christ himself is the subject of, he's under the thrall of the Roman marshal for that region in the Holy Lands, and his name is Pontius Pilate. And King Herod is actually, by the time that they started faking up Jesus, he's actually living in Rome with the Pisos. And he's the great grandfather of Arius Copernicus Piso, who himself is the cleverest man that ever lived and faked up the whole of the Bible, and he, Arius Calpurnius Piso, is the great-grandfather of Marcus Aurelius. Yeah, so there's the Jesus that they invented. Yeah, there's all the heads, yeah, on a plate, yeah, on behalf of the massive fraud that is world ownership and religious ownership and everything that happens. Yeah, Telly Savalas, when he becomes the crime detector, yeah, sucks the lollipop just to show you that everything that law enforcement globally has done since they crucified the false Jesus, yeah, is totally corrupted. They are the global mafias and their hitmen. There he is in the NATO uniform. Yeah, lock, stock and barrel, the story is now coming out. And there's Herod Telly Savalas, there he is, showing that justice sucks. Yeah, and there's the other one, I forget which one. It looks as if he was the Roman commissioner in the Holy Lands, and that one there is the King Herod character, but that may be incorrect. Okay, and there he is in his Germanic uniform, yeah, and behind him you have the air balloons that are the Zeppelins and all of the fear-mongering factors, yeah, in World War I don't know if there ever were Zeppelins and doodlebugs, but it makes a nice story and it scares the citizens shitless. Yeah, as the poor people's houses get bombed in London, and all the elite structures that belong to the elites, they don't get bombed, but they get the insurance reparations from it through the corrupted insurance thing that turns out in the end to be Intel since 1945, and that's MI6 and Miss Manningham Buller's role in life now. Our body double is in first name terms with me again. She's charming and she's got a lovely glint in her eye, and she's much younger than the real Manningham Buller, who's quite an old looking whore now, because she's given up the whole of her life to dismembering all of the university students that she's in charge of. Anyway, let's get back to the Bible story. It's much, much more evil even than what the university leadership teams do now. Okay, there's the fine art for the Rothschilds and Sotheby's that emanates from every one of the false biblical stories and the false history that they write. There's Jesus himself getting a soldier's death as portrayed in the Braveheart movie. Not Braveheart, the Gladiator movie. Okay? And the drama of the beheading is clearly one of the most iconic things that any artist can do, even the Rothschilds family through all of world history. Yeah? And that's the Merling murders and what we've explained to you about the sparking of World War I and World War II for the ownership of Austro-Hungary, which were in both cases the start point for the wars. Sorry, this is boring, but I just need to get you a logical introduction to the 100-acre divisions of the land all across Europe, yeah, and the derivatization of that to the name from hundreds to Herods. Okay, it's not going to move for me, I've frozen it already. Okay, here's the hundreds land division and the definition of it. Okay, 100 was an administrative division which was geographically part of a larger region. It was formerly used in England, Wales, some parts of the United States, yeah, that's the empire state that is the colony, yeah, or the plantation for the British crime scene. Yeah, Denmark, southern Schleswig, that's Schleswig-Holstein in Germany, Sweden, Finland, Estonia and Norway. It is still used in other places, including South Australia, where the whole of the Commonwealth is enslaved by the Brits. Okay, in other English and other language, including Wapentake, Herod, yeah, do you see it? Herod, Danish, Norwegian. Other terms for the 100 in English and other languages include Wapentake, Herod, Herad, Norwegian, Herod, Icelandic, Harad, like Harold on the beach with the Rothschild arrow in his eye, or Hundir, yeah, like the hound that chases the Jewish hare. All over the world it chases the Jewish hare, and that becomes Kristallnacht in their jokes, yeah. And there's the Hardy and the other character, yeah, that are in all of the cover-ups, okay. That is Thingaby and Hardy, the comedians in the silent movies, yeah, okay. So do you get it? King Herod and King Harold are just the subdivision of all of the pan-continental ownership issues of our whole fucking world, yeah. Objects in the rear view mirror, they appear closer than they are, yeah. And some of the regions that are owned by the fascists are right next door to me and Michael Ancram. So it was the Jedburgh Sevens today. I almost went up there, yeah, to find out a little bit more about the crime scene that is Jedburgh and the Teviot Valley, where all of Queen Victoria's deepest secrets were kept by the Rothschilds in her breeding chambers, yeah. But let's get on to something new. So we stopped on Fugger yesterday. That's the that's the moneylenders before they were replaced, and that link there to Amschel Mayer is the link to the Rothschilds and the links to the former funders for Venezuela and Latin America, okay, because this one is the Amschel that becomes the Rothschilds, okay. Ever such a tiny and marginal entry, but he lives there in Babenhausen, yeah, yeah, the monkeys and the elephant jokes, and there is Frankfurt, the homeland for the Rothschilds, yeah, in all of those Judengasses, and there is Hanau, okay. There is Babenhausen and the typically Germanic and Austrian looking buildings that they have, okay. And it's right next door to Dieburg, yeah, very, very appropriate. All wars, all sides, yeah. And that means Babenhausen means having the first live, and Juden is Jewry and Gas is alley, yeah, the Juden gas. Isn't it funny that they use that in the wartime in the death camp parallels, yeah. And none of us can know whether or not there were death camps or whether it's all false news and Hitler was the nicest guy that ever lived. You can only guess. They've written the whole of the history themselves, all of the Rothschild owned media, okay. I've shown you some of this before. Let's go to the bottom in case I miss anything. Okay, there's the Rothschild website. It's lovely, and they let all of the secrets out, yeah, all of the secrets except the linguistic ones. This is about investment portfolios, and it's run out of it's the Wealth Management and Trust, and this has been translated but only in part, yeah. It does not tell you what it means. Vermogen Zwerwaltungs GmbH, yeah, which I believe might even be the Swiss moniker for them, okay, yeah. And they're all over the place. British Virgin Islands, Germany, France, Guernsey, Hong Kong, Italy, Japan, Switzerland, Singapore, Great Britain, United States of America, and not sure what that one is. Okay, and there is all the iconic symbols for all of the secrets. Even my best translators and my neighbours and my friends cannot tell me what that means, yeah. Get in touch if you know it. Get in touch on the telephone. It's 0157 322 9084. Miss Valerie Jane Lees, I will not take your advice anymore on German linguistics, and I totally understand why you're so familiar with it, yeah. All those skiing trips to the Alpine regions. There's Jesus' goblet, yeah, it's the Holy Grail, and every church has got one. They give the communion through it, yeah. Isn't that funny? There's the Thimbleby joke, yeah, that is the David Dimbleby that becomes, the Thimblebys become the American presidential bloodline, yeah. And there's the buttons. I don't understand that. There's the Cross Keys, that is the biggest joke of all. That's the Cross Keys Hotel in my hometown that I went to last night, yeah. And it was Italian owned for many years, and it's now owned by the Ballantines, because the Bannatyne religious writings are infamous and they have to be covered up. That's why Bannatyne was head of the touring operatic company, and he was the the conductor for the massive Russian orchestra that was touring Britain 2010, 2011. All of it is a joke about the cover-up of those Christian fakes, and the whole of Russia is a lie. Yeah, that's Karl Marx and the stuff that we told you in yesterday's tale. I'm taking too long. You've seen this next bit before. Okay, this is the David Bowie joke about Celtic Italy and Al Pacino and the Alpine region. Okay, I've shown you this map before. I'm just very quickly going to show you again. Okay, this is all my friends that got the Boyd name, yeah, and they were friendly with the beautiful Aryan family that is now the Smarts, married into them. Okay, and there is the Bowie region on the northeast side of Italy there. Okay, and there is Innsbruck. Yeah, and Hannah Rothschild's Lord Brookdale husband. Yeah, and there's the Alps. Yeah, and that is where Hitler came from, and that is where Berlusconi came from, and that is where the Bible came from, in Naples. Yeah, a little bit further down. Okay, and Rome. Yeah, and all of it is the home to the Roman kings when the Etruscans were the power base. Okay, and so David Bowie is a joke about the Bowie tribe, spelt B-O-I-I. Okay, and that is the original meaning of bear. Not many people know that. Let's go down the tabs now and show you how ancient that bear word is. Okay, and it's Bohemia too. It's also the Bohemian derivatization, and that is the Bohemian Rhapsody, and all of those places, that's Czechoslovakia, they are immune from the plague, allegedly, according to the world historians. Okay, and there's the map showing that it's Cisalpine, yeah, and that's the Al Pacino stuff, and we've got pictures and all sorts of things posted on those themes already. Okay, here's Bear Longshanks, and that is, okay, history, Bear Longshanks in London. I told you yesterday that the joke about 3 of their mansions is that they're called, for the Rothschilds, Longshamps. Yeah, C-H-A-M-P-S. It's the name of the Parisian race course. Yeah, and here is the derivatization. Last name Bear. This interesting surname of German and Ashkenazi origin is a regional name for someone from Bavaria, German Bayern. Yeah, that's Bayern Munich, and the massive football teams, yeah, that they had, yeah, when Sepp Blatter was just a middle-aged man. Yeah, Sepp Blatter is still the cover-up tool, like Ali G is the cover-up for everything that I told you yesterday. Celtic tribe of the Boy, who once inhabited this area as well as Bohemia. In the 6th century they were replaced by a Germanic people, a branch of the Marcomanis, who took the name Bowery or Beary. You see it? I'll take it in once and close. Yeah, and the surname dates back to the late 13th century. So the Rothschilds pretend that their family tree runs out about 200 years before they took over the Bank of England. Yeah, and all of that with the Schnapper woman. She's the first name to appear in their family lineage. It's a lie. It's a massive lie. Further recordings include John Le Bear, 1292. Yeah, just after Christianity hits across the channel, yeah, at Hastings, the 100 Rolls of Hertfordshire. Do you get it? The King Herod Rolls of Hertfordshire sweep into the crime scene that is the the joke about Archbishop Frodo, yeah, who launches the whole of that New Deal that is the Doomsday Book deals, and all of the land grabs and all of the carving up of the church-owned territories, yeah, That's the church for Jesus that never lived. Yeah, the 100 Rolls of Hertfordshire. Catherine Byer married Henry, not Saville, but there's the roots of the jokes about our greatest poofda, yeah, and paedophilic victim. Yeah, he's got the Papa word for the Pope in the front, yeah, and he's got the Villa Papyri for the Pisos at the back. Yeah, it's a massive twist. Yeah, and that is the authors of the Bible from the Villa Papyri under Vesuvius in Naples. On June 14th, 1648, at St. Bartholomew's the Less. Yet there is no St. Bartholomew, there is no St. Andrew, there is no St. Peter, there is no saint at all except the Ogilvies for recent events and all of their interruptions, which I'll explain to you next door, because they link to the pharma magnates and the people that play for Arsenal with the same name. And I used to work with those people, yeah, in several institutions, and I've met them at several institutions, and they interlock to the corrupted man at the Jehovah's Witnesses, who is my old boss in pharma, massive millionaire on the Forbes rich list. Yeah, Trevor Jones. St. Bartholomew the Less, London. Elizabeth Frances, daughter of John and Martha Beer, was christened on October 1772 as St. Vedest, Foster Lane, at St. Vedest, Foster Lane, and St. Michael le Quern, London. And Anne, daughter of Adam and Anne Beer, was christened on March the 4th, 1764, in Soho. Yeah, right next door to Pie Pie Piccadilly. Yeah, and all of the pole dancing tricks that these families get up to. Yeah, Hannah. The first recorded spelling of the family name is shown to be that of Simon Le Beer, which was dated 1273, the 100 Rolls of Gloucestershire, during the reign of King Edward I. Yeah, that is the legendary Longshamps. Yeah, and that did not come up very well in the last video I made, but the book's up by my bedside, yeah, at the moment, so I cannot show you my little scribbled recordings. Yeah, and the other thing that I read out about the Rothschilds is that none of their accounts have ever been published or are even scrutinised by the corrupted government that they pick. The first recorded spelling of the family name is shown, yeah, 1273, the 100 Rolls of Gloucestershire, during the reign of Edward I, the Hammer of the Scots, 1272 to 1307. Surnames became necessary when governments introduced personal taxation. Yeah, that's the poor people that die in the armies, so the landowners and the renters of the farms and the massive land from the king yet don't have to fight in the war, but their poor feudal people have to go to their deaths. It's called conscription now. Still very popular way of killing the masses. In England this was known as a poll tax. Do you remember that in Mrs. Thatcher's Greatest Deeds? Throughout the centuries, surnames in every country have continued to develop, often leading to astonishing variants of King Herod's name. Yeah, it's the Rothschilds. Yeah, and they pretend that the woman that is the direct cover for all of the links to Sturgeon, yeah, Schnapper, yeah, that is the beginning of the Rothschild bloodline. Yeah, they just keep changing the name ever so slightly, and in France it becomes de Rothschild, and it is massive. Yeah, and that is where the Jews come from, but only the elite ones. Noam Chomsky, my former contact on Gmail and on Facebook. Yeah, the world's leading false socialist, the man who explained the whole of the politics of the yeah men for the Beatles and the oy vey joke. Okay, so this is the Marcomanian reference there. And that is the earliest Bearians occupied the Bohemian Alps and the Celtic regions. Note the Gothini, who must not be confounded with the Gothai, a Suevian tribe in the time of Caesar, Many other tribes of Gaulish origin dwelt along the course of the Danube, Austro-Hungaria. Yeah, the crime scene for the killing of the Archduke and his son in the incident that is the Meerling incident, who could not long resist the attacks of the Suevi. The Helvetians are the Swiss, who dwelt on the borders of the Black Forest, between the Main and the Danube. Yeah, that's on the massive shores of the River Rhine, which is magnificent, but all of it has been fucking dammed up and down its whole length. Yeah, like all of the great rivers of the world, so the gods can no longer use them to give the humans massive poor harvests or blessedly productive harvests, depending on how they behave. All of it is now turned by the tap on the dam wall. Yeah, between the Main and the Danube had been explained. Okay, and that is Frankfurt am Main. Yeah, do you get that? Yeah, that's the Rothschilds' homeland. It is Frankfurt that is now the home of the European Central Bank, and all of it is a massive piss take. They own everything across the world, including the medias, including law enforcement everywhere. Yeah, so, and the Danube had been expelled. The Helvetians had been expelled long before the time of Caesar. Julius Caesar, with the initials Jesus Christ, uses. He mentions also the Volsci Tectusagi, who became from the Languedoc and settled round the Black Forest. Yeah, the Boii, who had penetrated into that forest and also have left traces of their name in Bohemia, were subdued in the 1st century by the Marcomanni. Yeah, and the Boii settled in Noricum were mingled afterwards with the Lombards and received the name Boiu Ari. Do you get the derivatization of the Bono thing? That is the Bono Piso man. Yeah, and that then becoming Bavaria. Yeah, that takes you into the Roman court, takes you into the Bible authors in Naples, and it takes you into Madonna's first wedding. Yeah, and up her Piso pie as the boner for her husband. And that's Bonner law, and all the way through world history, all of the treason is joked and laughed at. So Biovari is a variation in some German dialects appearing to mean remains, descendants. Compare Malta BM geography. I don't know what that means. Okay, another one, hundreds. This is the land division all across England. Yeah, and this is explained, and this is the land division written according to Tacitus, and in the times when all of the Roman authors have to do it. Okay, so the first recordings of the land division in England are by John Le Bere in the 13th century. Yeah, the major changes, the Freemasonic numbers are, so 13 is for a major upheaval or change in the political system. The 100 Rolls of Hertfordshire. Yeah, that's where I used to live, in Tring, with my wife. Yeah, in the civilization that is totally corrupted. Yeah, and there is the release of the Piso code, and all of the stuff that happens in Hertfordshire and Bedfordshire is that they release in wartime the pretense that the biggest code in world history is the Bletchley Code. Yeah, and that is all the frauds involving the Flemings and the Mortons and all of the people that we tell you about every day. There is the word 100. Yeah, and I can't remember whether it is Christ or Piso himself, but let's scan down and we'll see. Okay, 8 hits in the Piso Bible numbering code for the number husband. So this is the 8th of 15 hits for 100, and the various coding ways that you can cover that in the Piso language. Okay, 100 is Calpurnius Piso, KP, nuts in the cinema. Yeah, for Pathy News and all of the stuff that we knew as children. I tried to buy a packet of KP nuts at the cinema yesterday, but they were just under 100 pence, yeah, for one tiny little packet. So I declined the offer. Okay, that's Calpurnius Piso, the most powerful man that the world has ever been the home for. And when it got to the last regime of his family writing the biblical texts and the writing of the last chapter, which is Revelations, yeah, he was portrayed by his son as the devil. Yeah, and that created hell, got his great-grandson murdered, and that is how the whole world now works, or fails to. Okay, C in Latin was 100, P was 80, thus CP was 180. It's ever so clever. Okay, so there are several ways of encoding the letters K and P. Yeah, that's Calpurnius Piso, and Calpurnius Piso, different generation, was also spelt with a C, and the per bit in the middle is him or her. I don't know how to tell the difference, but that one's bleeding. Yeah, and that is the pi Piso vagina. Yeah, it's ever so unsophisticated and crude, and it is the biggest cause of death in world history. Okay, so you've got the 100 jokes now. Yeah, it's the man on the golf course, and let's see how Tring in Hertfordshire was carved off using the 100 system. So I'm not sure what this has got on it. I'm going to take you next door today and show you some of the belly laughs for them next door. So there's nothing written here, but this is a list of the hundreds of England and Wales from Wikipedia. Most of the counties in England were divided into hundreds from the late Saxon period, and these were, with a few exceptions. So do you get the magnitude of that? That's a joke about the false Bible author. Yeah, it's a joke about King Herod, who wrote the false Bible, not from the Holy Lands, but from fucking Rome, yeah, where he was living, yeah, with the Piso families, who were the Piso Fruges, who issued the money from the mint in Rome 120 years before Christ was written up by them. Yeah, and you can see that it's closely tied to the linguistics of counterfeiting. Okay, so they were divided into the hundreds from the late Saxon period, and these were, with a few exceptions, effectively abandoned as administrative divisions in the 19th century, after they've got the issuance of money from Waterloo and the Bank of England. It's all stitched up. You don't need to steal from the locals now. You can do it at a national level, and none of the locals and none of the local councils get any of the funding that they deserve from that democratic issuance. Yeah? And now the taxes are the only thing that run the government, because the government does not get any of the output of the central bank that is supposed to run the government. It's a massive mafia scandal. Okay, and some of them are known as wards. Yeah, another part of the healthcare issues and the divisions and all of the things that go on. All of the professions are disloyal to each other. Yeah, they will knife each other in the back as long as they get their pay round. They don't give a fuck about the nurses and the midwives and the podiatrists, and all of that is portrayed in those humorous comedies featuring the man Elliot, that is the doctor in the film about the rationing period in wartime, and how the doctors get to eat the pigs that they've grown on the quiet at the back of the farm, but the podiatrists do not get to eat that. And those podiatrists are in the Monty Python's team, and all of their secrets come out. Okay, so here are the names of the 100s all across England, yeah, from that massive launch, and it's just a stealing of the whole world from its peoples. Bedfordshire, Berkshire, Buckinghamshire, Chiltern hundreds, Cambridgeshire, Cheshire. Yeah, so that we've already got the no bombing zones, yeah, for World War II. We've got Britain's richest man ensconced within Eton or Eccleston mansion in Cheshire, yeah, and it's a massive. And there we've got the revolutionary Cornish, yeah, that are actually the friends of the people in Pembroke that become the Pilgrim Fathers and become the Cheneys of America. Yeah, out of fucking the no bombing zones. Yeah, and there's County Durham, where we've got all of the museums that laugh at the war dead. Yeah, we will send you clean underpants, even although our spies have ticked the box that you are dead as a dodo. Yeah, it's absolutely ruthless. And there's the Essex home for Robert the Bruce. Okay, last tab is the Bears, and then I'll take you next door. Isn't it hilarious, yeah, to see how the whole of the world has been stolen? And Stephen Hester, yeah, that is part of that goblin and the goblets on the church roof joke, is, as you might have predicted already, the jester in the court. Yeah, and I found inside the Rothschild book a picture of the Joker in the pack of cards. It's all the same story, that you are the buffoon that gets led astray and led to your death, and eventually you become the war graves for the monarchs that are basing their poppy sales on Poppea, who was with King Herod in the Roman court. Okay, here's all the Bears and how many ways you can spell it. Boyer, Barry, Berry, Beer, Bray, that's De Beers, that's the braying donkey, which is Jesus in the Bible story. Barrow, Bur, Bear, Bro, Bureau, Barrow, Burra, Bar, yeah, the boroughs that take you into the gold rush, yeah, and all of the stinking badges, competition for all of the gold and all of the land and all of the claims in those distant lands. Yeah, all of the marriages are torn apart and all of the war dead never come back. And that is the You'll Be There song for Faith Hill, that is just the cover for the Prime Minister Hill that had to be booted out after Winston Churchill left government. Yeah, Bora, Ovber, Beer, Boer, Bayer, Burrow, Boyer, Bear, Boyer, Brie, yeah, that's the place in Belgium where the hole is in the Maginot Line. Very, very unimaginative. It's all the same story, and that is Brie in The Lord of the Rings, where the little dwarf changes his name to Underhill, but his team are so disloyal that they forget to use the code, and the whole secret comes out. Okay? And the man who is the rightful owner of the broken sword and the whole of the world is explained on Burke's Peerage next door. Bory, Bower, Bar, Bear. Yeah, and on it goes. And I'm not sure what is in parentheses there, but some of them have 31,000, 52,000, I'm not sure what that is. Similar and alternative names, Soundex code for bear, and B600 is Jesus or cross in Piso code. Yeah, it is ever so hilarious if you're a Freemason and you understand it. Okay, Irene Bear of Mary, Sue Bear of Hazel Bearby, Marion of Bearoff, the Bear, Gail Bear Paula, J Beara, Carl Bearoff, Helen Bear Gertrude, and it's Gertrude the Goose, of L Bear Helene, the K Bearby, Richard the Bear Hester, yeah, the jester in the pack of cards, the joker. Yeah, you are the victim of all of that. Okay, there's alternatives. Brie, that's the Brits. Yeah, and can you see how the naming of Britain comes forward? Yeah, and the Bureau. Yeah, the Bureau and all of Gordon Bowden's forensic information. Bowden, oh no, he's gotten a lucky break there. Bower is in Bowden, is not yet made it. Right, so next door. Now, we could take you modern and show you how Bayer Rothschild has become the owner of our whole country. Yeah, that is Jacob Rothschild, Hannah's dad, and all of these business listings, I've got them all fragmented and I've started to list them systematically. He's got, I can't remember how many companies he's in charge of, I think it's around 80. Yeah, and you saw the text from that book yesterday saying that none of the Rothschild's companies openly declare themselves to be Rothschild companies if they can possibly avoid it, which is why they don't appear on the rich list. Don't look at my password. Okay, that lady is Lady Elizabeth Angela Margarita Bowes-Lyon. Yeah, that's Margarita, the name of the pizzas out of Piso. Yeah, this is not a royal, this is the maid from the downstairs sector. But let me read her entry and show you who her neighbours are on Burke's Peerage. Yeah, this is the Fantasy Island monarchy, okay? After the Rothschild rape and pillage era, okay? This is the Queen Mother. Can you see her in that picture? Let me take you a little bit closer in. Her name is HRH, Queen Elizabeth the Queen Mother, in the Fantasy Island monarchy by Norman Apple, 1987. She's the one that loved the gin at the racecourse. Yeah, she's got the massive pile up in Sutherland on the north coast. Yeah, it's a massive, sinister place. She is allegedly, which is a pack of lies, the daughter of, she married George VI, Windsor, King of United Kingdom, with a stammer, yeah, son of George V, Windsor, and Mary of Teck, who's in the Stammering King movie. Yeah, the woman with the curly hair and the compassionate looking eyes, with a broad smile on her face as they declare war with Germany. From Teck. Yeah, with the Christian cross at the beginning and the ecky bit on the end. Okay, everything the Pythons laugh at, yeah, is a joke. And here further back, she was the daughter of Claude Georges Bowes-Lyon, 14th Earl of Strathmore, and Nina Cecily Cavendish Bentinck, not Michael Benting, yeah, the goon from the Goon Show, but Cavendish Bentinck. Okay, and when you scan further up the genealogical tree to see that she is the maid from who was replaced, the real Bowes-Lyon fled to Denmark and married to a decent chap who was capable of thinking and capable of having children that were not epileptic. Okay, all of that story was told by the murdered Greg Hallett. Okay, let me show who's on the family tree with this woman. It's Fantasy Island. Okay, these are the children, the bastard children of all of the Rothschild sires of Queen Victoria's lover. Okay, so they are Alexei Nikolaevich Romanov, Grand Duke of Russia. This is the Romanovs of Hearts. These are now the Rothschild Romanovs, openly declared with the Rothschild word hyphenated in their name. Anastasia, Grand Duchess of Russia. Yeah, Tsar of Russia. And I don't know where we get Queen Victoria's descendants. Yeah, and there's a reference to that. And this is Queen Victoria's descendants, allegedly. Yeah, all of them Rothschild bastards. Right then. So there is Maria Nikolaevna Romanov, Grand Duchess of Russia. Yeah, Peterhof Place, St. Petersburg, Russia. Yeah, that is St. Peter that never lived. That is Stalingrad, where 1.5 million people died in the condominiums there under the massive Hitler Rothschild bombardment from over the wall. Yeah, and when they get the war over with, they rename it after the never-lived St. Peter, who will not meet you at the pearly gates, and Coldplay totally understand that for some reason they cannot explain, because they are scholars in ancient biblical history, that St. Peter will not call your name there, he will not be there, nor will Jesus be behind the gates. Yet he's still circulating in orbit on the cross, and that is the rolling stone, Jesus never gets home joke. Okay, Tatiana, Grand Duchess of Russia, oh, beautiful women. Olga, Grand Duchess of Russia, 1910, beautiful, beautiful woman. There's a body double for having Kelso. All of her freckles have disappeared, she does not get any sun anymore. Okay, Olga Nikolaev Romanov, Grand Duchess of Russia, from 15th November 1895, died 18th July 1918. 1 year before Remembrance Sunday, their greatest triumph. 80 million war dead, many of them on the Russian front. That's Marie Prinzessin van Hessen, the links to the Hesses and the Rothschilds' original funders and the princes from those regions. Marie Prinzessin von Hessen und Beer Rhein, from the Rhineland Valley, absolutely beautiful, runs right through the heart of Basel, which was a beautiful city until I went there, and then they had the mercury spill into that massive river, and it runs to the estuary in France, and that is all of the vicious for-profit coalitions. Okay, I'm getting messages that I'm too deeply into this and that I need to move on. Okay, there's Alexander II, Tsar of Russia, the massive tash, and the Nikolaevich Romanov, Tsar of Russia, born 29th April 1918 at Moscow, Russia. And I was quite stunned when I discovered what's on this page, because guess who Mountbatten is really in the royal bloodline? That's Mountbatten who introduced Prince Philip. Okay, that man there with the poppy on his lapel for a laugh, that's the poppies that they sell from the royals as the beneficiaries, in the British Legion with the Dukes of Westminster from all of the war dead profiteering in every continent. That's the RSA in Australasia, that's the Royal, I forget what it stands for, it's the equivalent of the British Legion. And I was posting all of my news on false religion and even the massive treason that is the Mr. Bean joke and the killing of all of those Australasian troops in World War I and in the Crimean. All of that is the Mr. Bean being the war correspondent for Gallipoli. Disclosure that I've made, and it has driven them into panic. The woman who explained that Mr. Bean was the war correspondent was Quentin Bryce. She had to resign within 6 weeks of my exposure of their massive belly laughs. Okay, let's learn a little bit more about Prince Charles. He's actually the daughter of the people, the son of the people that they tell you here that he was sired by. That's quite unique. All of that stuff about the Queen Mum is a total lie. Okay, Charles Philip Arthur George Mountbatten Windsor, Prince of Wales, was born in 14th November 1948 at Buckingham Palace, St James's, London, England. He is the son of Philip Mountbatten. That's the story that Prince Philip was chosen by Mountbatten to come out of Greece in his orange box and to be the Queen's contender, for her love. He only retained his position in her bedroom for 2 years. His sexual activities are so outstandingly abusive of the partner that she had to kick him out of the bedroom, and her children were sired by the people from the Test and the Itchen valleys where Michael Ancram
relatives from Germany now reside, because they were the Germans that were related to Albert, that had Albert murdered in the family, yeah, but had to relinquish their places in Windsor Palace and the massive Buckingham Palace, because that was actually built and designed and funded by them from Germany. And they spend all their lives in England after the wars against the Germans, and they die peacefully in their beds, except for blind Prince George, because he was a contender for the monarchy and he was Queen Victoria's legitimate. His child Marcus Manuel was murdered by the Orca-fat British Royal Windsor. I think he was Edward VII. Okay? And all of it is a massive lie. So do you get it? Mountbatten is actually the name of the Duke of Edinburgh, and all of the stuff in the books about him proclaim that he is from the massive place in Wales, and that is also the name of Fiordland in New Zealand. Yeah, I've put that in the thumbnail. I've forgotten what the actual name of the place was. Okay, so he's married to Elizabeth II, Queen of the United Kingdom. Yeah, and she is the daughter, because of the illegitimacy and the impotency of the dad. Yet he could only sire epileptic children who died on the gurney. Yeah, so they had to bring in Winston Churchill to donate his semen to sire Elizabeth II, yeah, through the maid from the downstairs sector. Yeah, and that is the British American Tobacco put the semen in the cigar tube that Bill Clinton, who is the Queen's half-brother, also used. Okay, those stories are repeating now. I'm going to get on to something different. Okay, let's get on to... oh no, I've not opened my OneNote page. Okay, and it is just absolutely ruthless. There's Camilla Rosemary Schild, yeah, and her daughter of Major Bruce, yeah, the Bruce name in the Essex treason and the Scottish treason, Bruce Middleton Hope Shan. That's the Middletons that are the commoners, all of them still inbred and marrying their cousins. Yeah, that's Mark Shan that died in the revolving door, that was the thief at the World Wildlife Fund. Yeah, that Prince Philip, yeah, who is actually a Mountbatten, was unable to stop stealing from. Yeah, right through his whole life, Prince Philip runs the World Wildlife Fund to cull the ordinary indigenous people all over Africa and to keep it a British colony. Okay, so we could go back. I want to show you first the history of the ancient Rothschilds. Okay, now raindrops keep falling on your head. Yeah, and that's your feet are too big for your bed, which is a joke about the Rothschild relatives having big dicks. Yeah, biggest dickus in the Monty Python's jokes. Okay, so the beginning of time for the Rothschilds, yeah, or the Bears, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, the Bears are ancient. You've seen how they go back to the 13th century and the Doomsday Book. Here is Isaac, the beginning of time. Isaac Elkanan, Bacharack, Zoomhan, Zoomrot, Schild. Okay, that's the red rotting shield. Yeah. Okay, and he was born circa 1528. Yeah, yeah, the family tree just goes back to that woman, yeah, who is the joke about Nicola Sturgeon with the Dutch relatives and all of the Ali G, Barrett Cohen jokes built in to cover up the truth about how illegitimate and lethal these bloodlines are. Okay, birthplace Frankfurt am Main, on the Main River. Yeah, Hessen, Nassau, Pressen. The battles of Burmuir, and all of the soldiery out of Presson. Yeah, it's the same fucking repeated joke. Place of burial, Bartonstrasse, Jewish cemetery, Frankfurt am Main. The Jewish cemetery is not a new concept. Do you get that? They're the ghetto owners. Yeah, that's all they get in Frankfurt allegedly, but these are the owners of the massive mansions that we've already told you about, that Bomber Harris has to get rid of, yeah, so that none of them can be accused of being massive profiteers and funding all sides, even in the Napoleonic Wars. Okay, the immediate family of Isaac Elkanan Bacharack Rothschild was son of Elkanan son of Elkanan zur Rottenrose and Vogel zur Rottenrose, husband of Esther Rothschild, yeah, father of Elkanan Bacharack, Rothschild Moses Isaac Rothschild, Vogel zum Rosen Rothschild, and Raphael Rothschild. Have you heard of Raphael, the Jewish angel, and the naming basis for Bomber Harris's RAF? The whole of world history is a cover for their corrupted lives. Brother of Moses, Mosh Bacharack, Zum Hatten, Feshbein Bacharack, yeah? Abraham Grotwally, David Schwein, yeah, that means pig, I think, yeah? And all of the jokes about bringing up the pigs in all of the output of the fascist profiteers that are transatlantic and are the P.G. Wodehouse families, yeah? David Schwein zur Rottenrose, yeah? And the site is managed by Ottier Friedman, yeah? And that is the Friedmans of Chicago who become the biggest economic fraudsters in globalism's history. Okay, so there is Isaac Elkanan Bacharack zum Hahn zum Rothschild. I'm going to lay that down because I think you get less hum that way. Okay, so he takes you back, and it's an offer there that you can share your family tree with your members, your relatives rather. Matching family tree profiles for Isaac Elkanan Bacharack. You remember Burt Bacharach, the singer, and all the covers, yeah? And he looks exactly like Brian May, the guitarist for Queen, yeah? And all of them are featured with the man that appears with Madonna in the songs about the spy who shagged me, yeah? And I just assume that they are also family relatives like the Sturgeons, yeah? And all of the people that are the real Dutch Barnett Cohens, yeah? And the Barnett Cohens marry into the Rothschild bloodline, and the Barnett Cohens are the high priests of Israel that marry Isaac in the Bible. So that is Isaac Elkanan Rothschild. No, sorry, they marry Aaron in the Bible. My mistake. Yeah, the Rothschilds are older than they would have you believe. They're the bears in the Doomsday Book, and they take you right back to 1066 and King Harold and the Bayeux Tapestry. Do you get it now? Okay, here's Isaac's dad, Elkanan Ben. Yeah, that's the Ben Uri story. Okay, that's Uri Geller. That is the man getting shot in the boat, and all of the jokes about the music that I used to sing when I was a captain of the rugby team, yeah, in the bus, yeah, and all of that becomes told by the people that die really young, yeah, in my hometown, yeah, and all of them have totally deserted me through all of my life, yeah, only because I've become active in exposing the frauds that mean that the youngsters in our world never get a life. They get a life in uniform, and then they are in the war graves, or they are laughed at in the Durham Light Infantry Museum as the war dead. Okay, Isaac's dad, Elkanan Ben Uri, circa 1496, Frankum am Main, Hessen, Nassau, Presson, yeah, in Germany, where the armies and the mercenaries come from to fight in the summer wars in Britain and keep the numbers down. That is the battle in the Royal Mile in Edinburgh, where they used the Piso horses as the barricade to hide behind as the Rothschild arrows were fired at them. Yeah. Okay, that is, he died in 1550 in Frankfurt am Main, yeah, Hessen, Nassau, Pressen. Parents, Uri Febesch, yeah, and that is the fashion house thing, and that is zu Bacharack and his spouse, de Uri. Wife or husband, I can forget what the spouse is, it can be either. The brothers are Esser Lemlin and Shmuel. Do you get that in the Schmiegel, the joke about the Lord of the Ring, and the little wimpy thing that was the Germanic and the person that tried to take the ring from the rightful owner of it. Yeah, and all of that brings in the Brie story and the hole in the Maginot Line and Brie in Belgium that is right next door to Waterloo. Shmuel, yeah, Schmiegel in the Lord of the Rings movie. Okay, the partner of this person was Vogel, Zipporah zur Rottenrose, born in Worms. Okay, and the sons were Isaac, Moses, and Uri, Fibesh, Abraham, and David. Almost all the biblical collections for the 12 tribes of Israel, without the Denmark people at that stage. Okay, a little bit further down. Elkanan, Ekanan, Ben Uri, Han, Hon, Hena, Elkan, Elkanan. Do you get the Elkan horns now? Zur, Zotten, Rose. Circa 1496 born, Frankfurt again. Died aged August 1550 in the same place. Parents Uri Fibesh, zu Bacharack. Okay, siblings Acer, yeah, you get the name of the Acer and the Acre. Yeah, the Acer computers. Lemlin Bacharack, Shmuel Bacharack. Yeah, Bacharack in one with an A in the middle and Bacharack in the second. Okay, and that implies that those children have a different parentage, but I can't see that. May just be a misspelling. Wife Vogel, zur Rottenrose, born Worms. Children Isaac Elkanan, Isaac Beer, yeah, and that is their genealogical question mark. It's not mine. Okay, that is the Bears already into the bloodline by the 1500s. Yeah, takes you right back to the Doomsday Book and 1066 and the launch of false religion all over the world. Okay, Moses, David Schwelm, Abraham Grotwall, yeah, to be grotty, yeah, the grotto, yeah, the places where the riches are. Yeah, and the human sacrifices take place so that you can take your mind off the horrible suspicion that everything we do is a financial services or banking fraud. Yeah, the human sacrifice. Whoa. Yeah, which is where the one that is the Russian Vladimir Rothschild comes in ever so handy. Yeah, and every time we have a full moon, Elkanan zur Rottenrose, okay, Yoram Iguel, yeah, and that's the site manager, so that's nothing to do with the family. Next one is Hain Elkanan zur Rottenrose, and they were born 1496, Frankfurt, at that time spelt with F-R-A-N-C, Fort Allemand. Yeah, I presume that is a French occupational activity, and they build the forts there like the Americans did to take over all of the pagan lands. Okay, it's a bit boring this way, but so there's just the names of the ancestors. Elkanan zur Rottenrose Han, Elkanan zur Rottenrose, Hani, Elkanan zur Rottenrose, Elkanan zur Rottenrose Han, Elkanan, Zur, Rotten, Rosehan. We're now back to circa 1490. Okay? All the way back to the beginning of false religion. Remember, these are Jews, and they love to have anti-Semitic proclamations to make about the activities of people like Red Cain, the socialist, the false socialist in London, with Boris Johnson and all of the massive fraudsters. Not one of them has integrity. There is not one person I would trust there to be my ally to try and free the world. All of them are totally murderous profiteers. Yet even in the current regimes, that's why they went to Syria, that's why they did all of the false stuff, yet demonized all of Gaddafi, demonized all of Hussein, and even although the executions are false in some cases, all of those countries are now owned by the same families, and all of their central banks issue the money to the families. None of the world's countries get funding from its banks anymore. Yeah, and all of the citizens are stolen from the totally premeditated crashing of the merchant banks. Yeah, who Hester runs as a laugh as the joker in the team. Geisling, Bavaria, map of Württemberg before the French Revolutionary Wars, showing the free imperial city of Ulm. Okay, Elkanan, right next door. And it's got Fugger right next door. Yeah, that's the Fuggers of Augsburg. Yeah, Augusta for Donald Trump. Okay, this is the Imperial Abbey of Elkanan, 1128. Yeah, to 1802. So Hastings is already been taken. Yeah, by King Harold's enemies. Yeah, who wrote the Bayeux Tapestry. The Bayeux Tapestry. Can you see the plot beginning to emerge? Okay, that's the Fuggers that are the money lenders before they get killed, yeah, or before their scams in Latin America, yeah, with the Welshers are revealed. This is the imperial city of Ulm, and it's called Geislingen. This is the goose-stepping origins. Okay, Imperial Abbey of the Holy fucking Roman Emperor, yeah, and in the heartland of Austria for Hitler, Rothschild and Pope Benedict. Yeah, and it's free French Revolutionary Wars, showing the free imperial city of Ulm, yeah, and Württemberg with the two Christian crosses right in the middle of it. Yeah, there is the Erkingen Abbey in the 18th century, relatively modern structure dedicated to the Virgin Mary and Saints Peter and Paul. Yeah, yeah, never ever lived. And this is the joke about due diligence, because it was founded by the Counts of Dillingen. Everything is a joke for them. Yeah, and the Elkanan label now becomes the Reichstag in the Holy Roman Empire. Next tab, search. Okay, the Rothschild archive. This is where I found that they've preferred to confess all of their secrets, and then when you look at the Rothschild archive, you find that every one of those religious frauds is a family name, and Ricky Gervais is just a cover for someone on that massive list. Let's see if I can. Oh, I will not find it because it's spelt differently. So that's Ricky Gervais in the museum film in America with all of the fraudsters all across the transatlantic crime scene and the genocides. Yeah, every one of the characters in that is a joke. Yeah, and Pocahontas is a profiteer in real estate in London by that time. And the real Gervais got a third-class degree in physiology from University College London. Yeah, he's a brainless twat like Nicola Sturgeon and Salmond. Right then, and they make a fortune from the poor people because they are now Hollywood's icons. Next, family tree roots missing. There's the Rothschild archive. Gervais is on there somewhere, but he's in the small print. And all of the familiar names. I wish I could find Bathsheba. Let's see if we could. Oh no, I can't do it on that scale. Let's keep going. London Holdings Pictures. Okay. Oh God, I forgot to put it on there, or they've taken it off again. Here's Rothamsted. Ah, this is interesting. Okay, let me open some of the tabs. Okay, so let me find the. Oh, here it is. So if we were to look up Bathsheba, there she is. Okay, Bathsheba, Louise Emily Beatrix. Do you get that? That's the Bears of Holland, yeah, and the massive Dutch connection, yeah, and the Beth Matilda Rothschild. All of the waltzing Matilda songs that were sung in the concert at the Cross Keys the other night are ruthless jokes about the warhead at Gallipoli. Waltzing Matilda for the Anzacs, dancing to our deathly tune. Okay. And Philippine Matilda Camille de Rothschild, 1933 to 2014. Yeah, all of that retrospectively laughed at. Camille is the ships of the desert, and Camille is one of the Piso families who, in the name of Josephus's writing, massacred millions and millions of Jews in the Jewish Revolution. Yeah, there is 519. Bathsheba Louise Emily Beatrix de Rothschild, born 1914. Yeah, a deathly premonition, died in 1999. Where is she? She's married to and there's Anatoly Mulstein, and For Whom the Bell Tolls, and all of it is just a massive. The Bloomingdales, Michael Kalman Levy, yeah, that's the Kalman name that is in the Piso family, and launches the bank in Naples that is in the Villa Pignatelli. Gregor Piatigorsky, yeah, the false socialists in Russia, all with a Piso name at the beginning of their letter, of their name. I cannot see. So family members: Bathsheba Louise Emily Beatrix de Rothschild, born 1914. Maybe she's a little bit to the right. So Bathsheba is the woman in the Bible who King David saw taking a bath, yet as he pried out of his window, fancied her so much that he made an approach. She was already married. He had her husband killed in conflict in his name, yeah, and then he took her over in the bedroom. Lovely warm story, and the Jehovah's love it. There she is, Bathsheba Louise Emily Beatrix de Rothschild. That's little Emily in the story about the public school boy that was Steerforth. Yeah, my favourite movie. Yeah, and all the women, yeah, all the bad guys get all the women. Yeah, and that is the story of Britain and its public schools. Thank you to the public school people and the people that know how to play polo without ever having gone to a posh school. You learned everything from the people around you just by passing it on. Yeah, without any fees for that. And she's going to teach me to play polo. Yeah, we might have shitty pants that weekend. Okay, so Bathsheba is in the Rothschild family bloodline officially. And it's full of jokes. Yeah, there's Denijveld, yeah, and that's the man who is the actor in the Valkyrie film and is the actor in the episode 3 of Wiedersehen people going to Las Vegas and rebuilding the bridge that was across the Humber where many of the Pi Pi Pilgrim Fathers sailed from. yeah, from Yorkshire, and the York Adventurer Company that profit from it still, the whole of the Christian religion, with Jesus's faked up relics in Hannah's home, yeah, in Mrs. Brookfield's home, yeah, in Wadston. Yeah, that's the wads of cash for us to host Jesus's fake relics and the fake Jesus joke. Okay? Look up Bathsheba and the sad story about how King David gets his leg over loads and loads of wives in the end. Yeah, and the name of the giant is Goliath. Forgot that yesterday in the video. Okay, let's get back to some more new stuff. Okay, this is the story about Hertfordshire University, where I was rejected for a job application because the man who got the job is a civil servant on all of the healthcare issues. He keeps the statistics on all of the output. He knows nothing about drug science, but he was made the boss at the pharmacy school because he can commission massive money streams through those outputs of the Westminster Civil Service. Yeah, he's never had any academic experience, but he became a professor with a drop of a hat because he becomes an instant coercion money stream, yeah, because of his basis in healthcare statistics, like Klaus Moser, the chief statistician for our country, who just tells lies. Okay, and this is a series of stories about the people who have taken over in what was the Polytechnic for a company that is an aircraft manufacturer, and that is the de Havilland Company. Okay, so Rothamsted is right next door to Hertfordshire College, yeah, and this is the Arsenal joke, yeah, and it is also that Richard de Merson is the first owner of Rothamsted. Jeff Merson is a colleague of mine, and that is Jeff Merson, and all of the Ponzi schemes that he now runs. Yeah, when I visited Hertfordshire University, Jeff Mercer, my old colleague from the place near Wimbledon, that is St George's Hospital in London. The St George's Hospital professor used to be John Kelly. When you look him up now, there are no pictures of my old boss John Kelly. He visited me in Dunedin. He's a friend of the fascists. He's a friend of all of the people in the West End of Edinburgh, which included the zoo owners and all of the massive scams with the pandas, yeah, and the massive budgets for the pandas, and all of the companies that asset strip the tram sector in Edinburgh. Yeah, that's Belfinger bullshit. Yeah, that have the massive over budget scams of building the Parliament building and failing to build the tram projects and cluttering up the whole of the city of Edinburgh. Yeah, all of it is the same joke. Okay, Jeff Merson interlocks to, if you look down that list, he interlocks and this is the stories about Dr. Ian Fingland and the pharma frauds, Trevor Mervyn Jones, yeah, the Edinburgh pharmaceutical companies that have now been crashed and totally taken out of Edinburgh, the Wellcome Foundation directors and Glaxo Wellcome. Jeff Merson is still on those listings. Okay, and that is almost 30 years, over 30 years since the company collapsed. Okay, and the pensions are all fucked because all of them went private. Only the people that stayed with the company, which we were advised not to do, get a decent pension. Yeah, and that's Dave Frankel and all of the opportunists, yeah, that come and visit my wife. Yeah, they came and visited me and they have had heart attacks already. Yeah, and he's massively corrupted, but all of them are my best friends in life. All of them have turned on me. My wife was picked to do that. Yeah, and here is, I can show you where that was posted from in a minute or two. So they're running massive Ponzi schemes. Jeff Merson and the Merson that plays for Arsenal. Yeah, that's the Arsenal joke. There he is, Jeff Merson, pretending to be wetting his beak, the Belgian joke, yeah, the mafia joke for the Godfather. Okay, and those are the people in the Arsenal jerseys that are the gunners of London, and or the whole of London. Here is the new boss at Hertfordshire University. His name is Robert Gascoigne Cecil,